picture looking down at Dragon, the transport erector or strongback is currently still clamped onto the second stage right next to the vehicle. We'll see that retract starting about 4.5 minutes before launch when the arms open up, and then the strongback will recline away a couple of degrees. What we're getting ready for
RP1 load complete
right now is that call out. We're right on time. The fuel load, the RP1 kerosene, refined petroleum 1, rocket propellant 1 grade, is loaded onto the first stage. So that leaves us with just liquid oxygen loading continuing on both first and second stage. And you can see that moist Florida air slowly breezing by the two chilled down liquid oxygen tanks. And you can see the mist coming off as the moisture, the humidity in the air condenses and gives you those clouds.
Yeah, that super chilled liquid oxygen coming into contact with the ambient Florida air. So creates these puffs of white clouds. As John said, completely normal. In fact, we will be seeing more of those once LOX load completes and those lines are closed off to the vehicle. Coming up in just about 10 seconds, we should be hearing the call that Dragon has been transitioned to its terminal count configuration.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strongback retract.
Everything continuing to go on schedule. We're beginning to pressurize the tanks. That'll help stiffen the second stage up as the two hydraulic clamp arms will open up coming up here very shortly.
Strongback is lowering.
As you can see on the timeline there at the bottom of your screen, the strongback retraction is the next major event. In fact, the last physical event or modification to the pad prior to liftoff. Falcon 9 is nearly fully loaded with almost 1 million pounds of liquid kerosene and liquid oxygen. And that liquid oxygen is what we see venting there, those white clouds. All right, there on your screen, you can see that the strongback is beginning to retract.
And Kate, that strongback will move back just a couple of degrees you see here. Then at T0, when the Falcon 9 sends the liftoff command to the ground to release it, hydraulics will bring that strongback the rest of the way to about a 45-degree position at liftoff.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
We've got the call out right on time. First stage liquid oxygen loading is complete, shutting down the ground pumps. We're down to just loading second stage liquid oxygen.
And now, under 3 minutes until the launch of Inspiration4.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power.
All right, there's that call out that Dragon is now running on its own power. It is no longer connected to the power systems of Pad 39A. As you just heard, the crowd is super excited here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, as we are now under 2.5 minutes until the launch of the Inspiration4 crew. That crew there can be seen on the right-hand side of your screen, buckled in and ready to go.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
And there's the call that Stage 2 LOX load is
Dragon
complete.
is an auto idle.
Falcon is now fully loaded with all of its propellants.
Gas closeout will begin shortly. Expect loud venting.
Announcement to let the crew know that as we vent off various lines on the launch pad, we'll hear some loud noises. Let the crew know that's planned. We're also right now draining the liquid oxygen out of the transporter erector, draining the lines, getting ready for launch. Waiting for the startup call at T-minus 1 minute.
FPS is on. Second engine startup. And ignition failure. Dragon is in countdown.
You can hear the cheers. We're inside 1 minute.
Go for launch.
Inspiration4 is go for launch. Punch it, SpaceX.
Commander calling
30
down.
seconds.
Punch it, SpaceX.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Thank you. Go Dragon. Go Falcon. Godspeed Inspiration4.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 30 seconds. Callouts indicate nominal. Historic mission flying the Inspiration4 crew onboard Dragon and Falcon 9. Great view of the crew in the capsule. We're into the throttle down, into the throttle bucket.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Throttling down in preparation for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. And then the flight.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Max Q.
Stage 1 throttle up.
We're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Copy,
We're
1
throttled
Bravo.
back up, and 1 Bravo, the call out from space. That's one of the abort sequences. That is a nominal call. Everything continues to be good. Looks like a smooth ride for the crew. Okay, we heard the call out. MVAC-D is chilling. We're beginning to get the turbo pump ready on the second stage engine for ignition. We're passing through 3 G's acceleration. Everything continues to look nominal. Merlin
Stage
engines are
1
throttling
throttle
down
down.
for G limiting. 4 G's, we're holding it there for the crew. Major event coming up will be main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation, looking at the second stage engine nozzle, and then ignition of the second stage.
And Miko.
Stage separation complete.
Ignition.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
There we heard the call, and you can see on your screen there on the right-hand side that the second stage has ignited. That's the MVAC engine. I'm sure the crew felt another kick in the G's there as it ignited. Officially, the Inspiration4 crew are now on their way to space. First stage booster there on the left-hand side of your screen is making its way back down to Earth. The grid fins have popped out to assist with the steering. It will be making a landing attempt on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, which is parked out and holding position in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, so we have a couple of views on
Acquisition
screen.
of signal, Bermuda.
As Kate mentioned, left-hand side is a view from the top of our first stage looking down. That has already separated from the second stage, and it's making its way back to Earth. The velocity of the first
Dragon
stage
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
is being tracked on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen is a view of our second stage Merlin vacuum engine. On the opposite end of that engine is the second stage and the crew, which sits on top of the second stage. Everything looks to be going normally with them. And you can also track the velocity on the second stage on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And we also have awesome views of the crew inside of their capsule as well.
I'm pretty sure during first stage ascent, I saw Dr. Cyan Proctor.
Nominal.
I'm pretty sure I saw Dr. Cyan Proctor give us 2 thumbs up. I'm sure she enjoyed this ride that she's been waiting for her entire life.
Yes. One notable thing too is we're getting some twilight views. The sun just set in Florida, but we're high enough up where the light around the horizon is also reflecting off of very high altitude objects, such as the first and second stages.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Love to hear that call out, trajectory nominal from the guidance engineer. Also notice we're really up there now, well past 100 kilometers.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
Just before that view switched, we saw some teammate fist bumps going on there inside of the cabin.
Yeah, they look like they're having a fun ride there. And their journey isn't over. We've got about 7 more minutes until Dragon separates from the second stage.
Yes, next milestone for this mission is actually going to be happening on the first stage. It's going to be performing a re-entry burn that's going to be coming up around the T+7 minute and 30-second mark. That burn is used to slow down the first stage before it re-enters the denser parts of the atmosphere. A few minutes later, it will execute a landing burn and make an attempt to land on our drone ship that's currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean.
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copies.
So far,
sorry.
I was just going to say, so far, everything looking great for the Inspiration4 crew. Hearing that everything is proceeding nominally there with the second stage, which is what you see on the right-hand side.
Stage propulsion is nominal.
I was just going to say that MVAC engine we just heard now is looking nominal.
About a minute left to go before the first stage performs its first burn.
And on your left-hand side, looking at the first stage, you may see those white puffs. Those are the nitrogen puffs helping to steer and guide the vehicle. Basically,
Dragon SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
basically is the attitude control
Dragon copies.
for the vehicle as it makes its way back down to Earth.
There's the crew on the right-hand side of your screen. I think I see some more thumbs up there. Dr. Proctor is clearly excited that she's finally in space. Again, this mission will be orbiting Earth for 3 days, and they will be at an altitude of 575 kilometers, which, if I remember correctly, John you said that that is the distance from Los Angeles to the Golden Gate Bridge.
There you go. They're going to get there a lot faster.
Stage 2, FTS is saved.
Right now,
So what you're seeing on screen on the left-hand side is the entry burns, the first of 2 burns on the first stage. Again, this first stage has already separated from the second stage. So the first stage is making its way back to Earth, trying to land, and the second stage, everything is going well. It is headed into orbit with the crew on board.
Actually, there on your screen, you can see a sunrise horizon there with planet Earth just behind the glowing MVAC engine.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
call out stage 2 and terminal guidance. We're at the altitude. We're working the angular momentum we need to get into the right orbit. And if you're wondering, crew's pulling about 3.5 Gs right now, less than they took on the first stage flight.
So in about 15 seconds, we are expecting
Copy, Shannon.
We are expecting
throttle down.
the MVAC to throttle down and cut off an event called second engine cutoff, and then we'll wait for the confirmation of good orbit. At the same time, the first stage will be beginning its landing burn. And here we have the MVAC. We just saw that it shut off its engine.
Stage 1, landing burn startup.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, good news there. The nominal orbit insertion. That's amazing news for Inspiration4 crew.
Right to the doorstep of an exciting and unexplored frontier. A few have come before and many are about to follow. The door's opening now, and it's pretty incredible.
Stage 1, landing is confirmed.
Dragon SpaceX, launch escape system is disarmed.
And you can hear the excitement behind me. We just heard from Jared thanking everyone for making this mission possible. The Dragon capsule and crew are in a nominal orbit. In a few minutes here, we'll begin opening that. In a few minutes here, we'll separate from the second stage, and then shortly after that, we'll begin opening that nose cone. At the same time, we landed our first stage on the drone ship, which is super exciting.
As if the second stage action wasn't exciting enough.
Right.
So there's that MVAC engine, like we mentioned before. It has already shut down in an event known as second engine cutoff. And the crew are now gliding, if you will.
Now, one thing right now is we're coming up just under 11 minutes in the flight. We're waiting another minute and a half or so before we get into the separation sequence. The second stage is going through a series of events where we make sure that gases are all pushed out of the system. There aren't any what they call disturbance torques. We want to make sure that the second stage is very stable, it's quiet, it's not moving around, it's not doing anything. So we give it a few minutes to actually just vent everything down, then go into quiet mode. Then Dragon will send the command to separate itself from the Falcon 9. It'll be pushed away. Falcon 9 stays in orbit for a while till it eventually comes back to Earth, and then Dragon moves on its way.
Yeah, John, you talked about the terminal count earlier today, and this is almost similar to that. It's like another check before the next event that happens.
The beauty of the countdown.
Hey, we're about 30 seconds away from separation of Dragon from the second stage. The view on the left-hand side of the screen is a view of the unpressurized section of Dragon. So it's the sort of back end, the trunk section of the Dragon. So when we do see separation, we'll see that kind of push away from the second stage and make its way into orbit.
Once again, the Inspiration4 has lifted off from pad 39A. They are now in orbit around Earth, and there you can see on your screen.
Separation confirmed.
So that is the Dragon trunk.
Dragon on the way to the Falcon 9 team. We gave a good ride orbit, enjoy your time on orbit, and we look forward to flying again with SpaceX.
And copy that, Garrus. We really appreciate everyone's help back in LCC.
That was the voice of SpaceX Chief Engineer Bill Gerstenmayer communicating with Inspiration4 Commander Jared Isaacman. So Dragon has separated away from the second stage. And that's the view that we have on the left-hand side of your screen. A lot of space there.
Expected
the
loss
next
of signal Bermuda and New Hampshire.
And then the next event that we are anticipating is the opening.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
We're going to open up that nose cone.
There we shall see.
So we heard the call out, nominal Draco checkouts after separation.
And there's that first view that we have over the shoulders of Commander Jared Isaacman and pilot Cyan Proctor. Dr. Cyan Proctor is on the right-hand side, and Jared is on the left-hand side. And this is their dashboard for the next 3 days. These touch screens provide them all of the telemetry and data and information about the systems on board Dragon that they can interact with while on orbit.
We can see the zero-G indicator floating around.
And it looks like it is a little golden retriever.
Oh, like the golden retriever assistance dogs at St. Jude Children's Hospital. That is apropos.
Oh, I love it. 5th crew member on board with the Inspiration4 crew.
So in a few seconds here, we are expecting the nose cone to open up, and hopefully we'll be able to see the first views of the Dragon cupola in space.
There we can see that they have just opened up their visors.
And there is a forward hatch inside of Dragon between the cupola and the crew. So when the nose cone does deploy, they won't immediately get to see out the cupola, but once they can get out of their seats, open up that hatch, they'll get some incredible views of space. And on your right-hand screen is Mission Control Hawthorne at SpaceX headquarters here.
Once again, the cupola is the observation dome that was installed. It's brand new hardware to this mission. It is in place of what was the docking adapter, the docking mechanism that allowed Crew Dragon to previously dock with the International Space Station. Due to the fact that the space station is not our destination today, we were able to pull out that docking mechanism and insert the cupola, which will basically provide a 360 view of space for our passengers inside Crew Dragon Resilience here, which I cannot wait for our first views of the cupola. You know, everything that we've seen on the ground here is just incredible, and to see it actually in action with those 360 views is going to be breathtaking for us. I can't even imagine what it might be like to actually experience it in person.
Yeah, this is going to be incredible, and I can't wait for them to get the first look out, and hopefully
lots of signal in Newfoundland.
Hopefully we'll get to see some of their reactions when they first look out that window.
Yeah, so if you are just joining us, this is the Inspiration4 mission, the first all civilian crew into space. The team had a nominal ascent out of Pad 39A in Kennedy Space Center and are currently in orbit around the Earth.
Yeah, what an incredible place to be in right now when we can say we have now put 4 civilians into space, into orbit. It's been an incredible journey for us to get here. We didn't do this alone. There's a lot of history working with our partners, NASA, to get us to this point. A lot of efforts with reusability and reflying vehicles, which we've seen on this mission particularly. We've reflown the booster 3 times. Dragon, we flew for a second time here. First flew on Crew 1 last year. And now Jared, Cyan, Chris, and Haley are out in space.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Just the fact that these are normal, regular people, non-professional astronauts, and they're now in space. And
acquisition signal, Okanger.
And it's just wonderful to know that the access to space has opened up. I believe in the note that Jared relayed back to ground, he said that the door is wide open and the view is spectacular. Of course, they can't quite see out through the dome just yet, as we mentioned before. But metaphorically, it must be an incredible feeling to be on board Crew Dragon at this moment.
I bet everyone's super jealous of Haley and her window seat right now.
Right.
She can just turn to her left and see
And Chris
everything.
also has a window seat.
one, yeah.
Speaking of window seats, we are approaching the coast of Ireland. We're 249 kilometers up, so we're heading from the 200 kilometers where we injected to 575. Then we'll begin circularizing the orbit. But more importantly, we got into contact with the ground station in England, and they confirmed the nose cone is open.
Amazing.
So another major event, the hooks that hold it down have opened up, and then the nose cone deploys itself up on its actuator. So that exposes the cupola, and we're going to see if we might get any kind of view here before we sign off.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, we aren't going to the International Space Station. We're actually just going out into space, into orbit. So they will be doing a couple burns. Another one will be, or the first one will be 45 minutes into flight, and then another 90 minutes into flight. And that'll take them to their final orbit of 575 kilometers away from Earth.
So at this point, it sounds like we're actually not going to be able to get views of the nose cone opening and of that cupola. So unfortunately, we won't be able to bring that to you live at the moment. However, we will be providing that footage once it becomes available. And the four of us are super excited to see what our 4 Inspiration4 astronauts are going to be seeing over the next 3 days. So at this point, Jared, Haley, Chris, and Cyan are now officially in orbit. Over the next 45 minutes, they'll reach their cruising orbit and spend the next 3 days orbiting planet Earth. We'll be checking in periodically with the crew to see how they're enjoying their first trip to orbit and to check in on those 360 views of space.
If you are curious and want to know where Dragon is at orbiting the Earth, keep tabs on the mission with the Follow Dragon tracker on SpaceX.com.
Yeah, and stay on top of any potential live events that we might be able to have with the crew while they're out in orbit by following us on social.
And finally, for today, the thank yous. Kennedy Space Center, the Eastern Range for the support getting us through the countdown, the FAA for launch approval, and of course the Inspiration4 crew for their confidence in SpaceX, getting them into space today. And finally, thank you to everyone who is logged in to watch our webcast and donated to the St. Jude Children's Hospital. With that, we wish you a good day.